We are joined by a special guest here, retired Minnesota National Guard Command Sergeant Major Thomas Behrends is with us. I want to appreciate, first of all, sir, your service, and thank you for making the time for us. Tell us, you were the individual who had to fill the command space left by the departure, as I understand it, of Tim Walz after his decades in the National Guard. But just please set the table for everybody. Tell them your story.
All right. Well, setting the table for everybody, basically, Tim Walz was in one of the 125 Command Sergeant Major position. He was acting in that capacity, trying to get his United States Army Sergeant Major's Academy accomplished and other requirements to hold the rank. And he was in that position in the spring of '05. He filed with the Election Commission on the 10th of February, I believe, to run for Congress. We got there was a warning order published on March 17th that was spread across the state to the 1st Brigade Combat Team, which one of the 125 Field Artillery was part of, and basically told everybody to start preparing. We're going to be deployed to Iraq, sometime in the next 2 years or whatever it said. I don't know the exact wording, but that was put out to everybody to, get everything in order, let your employer know, let your family know, work on your will, do whatever you need to start doing, because, this is the hard order is going to come down later. So this is the preparation order. And then he published a statement from his campaign on the 20th of March, I believe, that said, he was going to still campaign. He was going to go, whether he's in Minnesota or Iraq, he was going to keep on trucking, being a soldier, and campaign for office. He told the Brigade Command Sergeant Major he was going to be going to Iraq, and everybody assumed that's what he was going to do, because that's what a normal patriotic American would have done at that point. And then 2 months later, in May, then he walked out the door and said sayonara and left the battalion, 500 soldiers hanging without one of their top leaders.
Oh, we appreciate you coming on with us, and we appreciate your service, as Buck said. This is Clay, and I really appreciate you giving us the time. You served. Many of our listeners served. For people out there who did not serve, was this cowardice? How would you classify what Walz did when he didn't deploy with his troops to Iraq?
Well, the military's got seven, or the Army does, 7 leadership, traits, and one of them is selfless service. And on the best day, this is selfish service, basically just looking out for himself, not giving a damn about 500 soldiers and the 1,000 sets of parents that are expecting this senior NCO that's been in for 20 some years, that he's going to be, taking care of them, trying to get them home alive. And on the worst case of it is it's absolute cowardice. Maybe he had no confidence in his leadership ability. I really don't know. He's never stood up and told anybody exactly why the hell he got out. I mean, he did tell some senior leadership that I need to get out to run for Congress, which is BS, because a lot of people do both, and they serve their country in both capacities, and then they come back and they're in Congress, and then they might get deployed again. But I looked up different things, and one of them I called him right out at first was that he's a traitor, because basically, when the nation called, he hung up the phone and said, "To hell with you." And then another one I've seen out there is that he's a deserter, because that's somebody that they abandon their post and they leave the military and they have no intent. They never look back. They have no intention of ever getting back in it again, and that's literally what he did. I mean, his post was, I'm supposed to be in this guard tower here, and I say the hell with it, and I walk off into the sunset because I got better things to do.
We're speaking to retired Minnesota National Guard Command Sergeant Major Thomas Behrends, who answered the call and took his men to war after Tim Walz decided he had other better things to do with his time. And that's what we're discussing right now. And Sergeant Major Behrends, can you just tell me this? The allegations or criticisms that are out there about Walz embellishing his record, things like saying he served as part of the war in Afghanistan when he was in Italy, and now saying he's support of. Do you find those criticisms also valid? Does it bother you? Does it bother other members of the service when somebody is inflating or embellishing their record?
It's absolutely gut-wrenching hearing it. I mean, it's been, there's been so many veterans that have came out and can't stand this rhetoric that he's been spewing for years. You know, it literally cuts to the core of, honor, duty, and respect that many military people have. No, very, very, very few people ever try to lie what they did and make it look better than what they did. Between those Afghanistan comments and saying that he's a retired command sergeant major when he wasn't, he's not. He didn't finish the course. He didn't finish his requirements, but he still. I mean, he even had a challenge coin made from Congress, from the House of Representatives, with the command sergeant major rank on it. And all those people that served in Congress, they had to listen to him blow hard about how he was the highest ranking guy in there. And it comes out now that he wasn't. And it's, that's just absolutely sad. When somebody lies that much, what the hell are they going to do at the national level? That's absolutely, it's just disgusting that, he should have just went and crawled under a rock. But instead he's out there, pounding his chest and saying he is something that he's not. He's a military impersonator is what he is. If you look up the definition of that, there's two versions, one's civilian and one's military. And, the military guy, he'll have rank on that he doesn't earn. He'll put medals on that he didn't earn. That's where the stolen valor thing comes into play, because he literally did all that for personal gain, for monetary value of being in Congress or a governor. All is, I would guess charges are probably going to be brought against him at some point.
When you tried to get this story out as he ran for governor, it was largely ignored, I think, although I want you to kind of walk me through it. What has the reaction been now that he is attempting to become a heartbeat away from the presidency? Has the media covered this story fairly in your mind? Have they reached out to you very much? What can you tell us? This audience, I think, has heard your story, and if they haven't, we're certainly glad to have you on. That's why we brought you on as a guest. How was this factual analysis that you provide covered in the governor's campaign, and how is it being covered now from your perspective as a retired member of the service?
Well, back in 2018, when I first brought this out, I sent it to every newspaper that I could find on the internet in the state, and every radio station and every TV station, trying to get the word out there before the election so that people could actually judge whether this was somebody they wanted to be our governor or not. Because to me, as a military person, retiree, I hold this dear to my heart, that somebody that lies about something like this should not be in public office and should not be able to make decisions, because they already made a really bad decision. And I actually had my local paper published the article, The Truth About Tim Walz, and then the Western Tribune, I think it's called. I had to pay for that as a paid political ad, and then everybody else was like, well, we can't publish it as a letter to the editor. The Star Tribune in Minneapolis, they basically said, well, these are pretty serious allegations. And I said, yeah, but I said they're pretty damn close to all true, and there might be a little something of a date or something that might be wrong. But I said, here's the people to talk to. Here's the people above him. Vet the story. If it's true, publish it. If it's not, sue me for slander, because I'm slandering. If this is not true, I'm slandering a sitting congressman. And they vetted it. They got back to me a couple days later, said, this is just exactly as you said. This is true. We're going to run an article on it. And then a few hours later or a day later, they came back. The reporter got back to me and said, our editor nixed the story. They said it's too close to the election and it might influence the election. And all I thought to myself is, what the hell is this, North Korea? I mean, you've got the state, a media that's not state run, but it's acting like it's state run. And when this story broke, when he got picked, by somebody that never should have picked. I mean, I don't know what the hell the vetting process was to select this guy, but it's just absolutely incompetency to pick him as the vice president. And he gets in there, then basically the prairie fire started, and it's just exploded with different news organizations contacting me and other members to get the story out. And I told the one lady, I said, well, I haven't gotten called by CNN yet. And about a day later I did, and I was like, well, this is pretty crazy. I mean, and they've been pretty good on some of it. They'll pick and choose kind of what they want to publish. They don't publish my whole story because they know that it's not what they want, a narrative they want to get out there. But it's been very good, and it's continuing to this day, and it's going on way into next week. Different media outlets that we need to get the word out and get the truth out there and get him sent packing to. I don't think they want him in Nebraska. I don't know where the hell we're going to send him. But
are you going to watch him speak tonight?
I don't know if I can stand it or not, but I might.
That's kind of the general response, I think, of most of our audience, by the way. That's perfect. Sir, we appreciate the time. We appreciate your service. Thank you for reaching out, talking to us. If there's more you want to share with us between now and the election, we'd love to have you back on.
No, sounds great. The only thing I'd like to add is that if your audience wants to know what he's done to Minnesota, get the book "They're Lying" by Liz Collin, or watch the documentary the Fall of Minneapolis, and if that's what you want this country to, what you want it to have happen to this country, just vote for him, because he'll burn her down and bail out the ones that burned it.
Sir, thank you. We appreciate the time. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for the service filling in when Tim Walz wasn't willing to do what his obligations and responsibilities would have suggested he would, serve with his men overseas in Iraq. Thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you for being one of the people worth fighting for.
Well, that means a lot to us, for sure. And speaking of being worth fighting for, Tunnel to Towers Foundation is an organization that wants to fight for you on behalf of all the people out there that are putting their lives on the line every single day. Families overseas, families in the armed services, first responders, those to defend our freedoms. I've met a lot of these family members, fortunately, in person. Going to be up in October helping to raise money for Tunnel to Towers. Buck and I, as a part of Crockett Coffee, are donating a lot of our sponsorship dollars that we make, some of the profits, to Tunnel to Towers. We're going to be going and attending their gala and helping to raise money to help so many people out there that are struggling because of their loved ones, loss of life, severe injury. Tunnel to Towers does incredible work. Our buddy Frank Siller, who started it because his brother died in the line of duty on 9/11. I mean, this is a passion project for him to honor the service and sacrifice of his brother by helping to take care of so many others out there with service and sacrifice on the line on a regular basis. All you need to do is join Buck and myself and put $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers. They'll provide mortgage-free homes for families of fallen first responders. They've done it for more than 2 decades. Takes away the worry of whether there's a roof over the head of the family, young kids, wives, husbands dealing with the loss of their primary breadwinner. Tunnel to Towers, committed to helping America keep its vow to never forget 9/11 or the sacrifices of its greatest heroes. Help heroes who protect the freedoms we all enjoy every single day. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.